Hey everyone, Timothy Ybarra here. So where am I now in the Dave Ramsey baby steps? I'll tell you, I'm on baby step 4, 5, and 6. So if you aren't familiar with the Dave Ramsey baby steps, essentially you're supposed to get out of debt completely and you're supposed to go ahead and save up an emergency fund. So once you've done those steps and you've gotten to this point in baby steps 4, 5, and 6, this is the fun part. This is when things get interesting. This is when you start to see and reap the benefits of going through the struggles and to save up that emergency fund to protect your assets. These are, again, your baby steps 4, 5, and 6, and eventually 7, but particularly 4, 5, and 6. You're building assets, you're building wealth, you're creating a legacy for your family, for future generations, your kiddos, your wife, and your extended family even. And it's really exciting to get to this point. I am so excited. I am ready for these steps. I am ready to move on to the next steps in my life where I'm going to be able to give just a ridiculous amount of money away to people. And so before I get there, I need to work through these baby steps. So all the baby steps are chronological. 4, 5, and 6, it's a little bit of based on priority, but more so 4, 5, and 6 you can do at the same time. Baby step number 4, you're going to start investing 15% of your household income into a retirement account. And that again is one of the key things you want to do with money. Just a reminder, what you want to do with money when you at any stage, when as early as your first job or your part-time job, once you develop your career, you're always going to want to do this with money. You're going to want to spend some, you're going to want to save some, and you're going to want to give some. And so you're essentially going to do that at every stage and every step in your Dave Ramsey process or whatever financial plan you're following. But for me, it's been Dave Ramsey, and it's been life-changing, and it's been such a blessing to me. And so this is where you're saving for your future, and that's what baby step 4 is, starting off with this investment of at least 15% into your retirement account, and I'm really excited to do so. Baby step 5, you're going to go ahead and start to save up for your kids' college. I don't have kiddos yet, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that step. Baby step 6, you're going to pay off your house early. I also don't have a house at this point. I'm renting with a roommate. And so what I've decided to do is to start saving for a down payment on a house. So before I dive into the 4, 5, and 6, there's a lot of valuable information that I've gotten from the Dave Ramsey program outside of the baby steps. The baby steps are amazing, and the tools and techniques that they've taught me to create a budget and everything like that is great. But some of the other things that people don't think about is the everyday items that you'll need, all pertaining to finances. But one of the things that Dave and his team offers is ELP, Endorsed Local Provider. So wherever you're at, you can go ahead and take a look on his website, use the zip code or your address, and you can go ahead and take a look at Endorsed Local Providers. So these are people that have either been through Dave's program or are familiar with his steps, and they're going to go ahead and give you advice based off of these principles. And they've been endorsed by the Dave Ramsey program, which is really neat. And so I felt like, you know what, I want to find somebody that I can trust. And so recently, I think you are aware, if y'all would watch my video on Moving Day, the Ybarra way with stereotypes. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. It's hilarious. But what I talked about at the beginning of that video is that my family actually had to go ahead and sell our house. And so we used the ELP in order to find a realtor that was great and amazing and that shared similar principles as us. And so it was really neat to be able to use Dave Ramsey's website in order to find that realtor that could understand our perspective, could understand what we were trying to do, what we were trying to accomplish, and walk us through the steps in order to sell a home. So it was really exciting, and it worked out well. I've also utilized the ELP search engine in order to find insurance, information on insurance and agents that were going to help me with insurance. Everything from disability insurance, which if you haven't taken a look at it, I suggest that you do. Some statistics say that 1 out of 4 people will come into a disability that will keep them from working. And so I don't like those odds. I'm going to go ahead and play it safe and go ahead and get insurance just in case something horrible like that happens. I don't want to leave my family in a bind. I don't want to leave myself in a bind. If I have goals at some point that I want to accomplish, I don't want that to be deterred just simply because I had a disability that I wouldn't be able to work anymore, at least in the line of work that I am doing and performing right now. And so I went ahead and got disability insurance, and I highly recommend that you do, or at least look into it. Car insurance. If you call up for call insurance through the ELP search engine, it is great. I've done it a couple of times, and it's good financial advice to go ahead and search around for insurances every once in a while, whether it's a year or every 2 years or something like that. You never know what you're going to find. I've always liked my insurance for the longest time. They've had relatively good rates, but the customer service was amazing, and we've had it for a long time. But I went ahead and reached out through the ELP search engine to find this insurance agent, and what they did is that, and no charge to me, they were going to go ahead and get some of my information on my current insurance and then go ahead and do a cost comparison between different insurances. They were going to compare the actual insurance that I was receiving and the rates. Those are two factors that need to be considered when shopping around for insurances. Of course, somebody can give you cheaper insurance, but they're also going to give you cheaper coverage, and you don't want that if it's incredibly risky insurance. That may sound counterintuitive, but there are situations in which they'll remove so much of the coverages and they'll put all the risk on you in case of an accident or in case of something horrible happening. But it doesn't mean you can't shop around and find out that, okay, well, this insurance actually has the exact same coverage, but just costs less. And so that's exactly what I asked them for, if they could take a look for me, since I wasn't too familiar with how to do that on my own. And they were so responsive. The agent, the lady that had called me, she was great. She was very customer friendly. She was very polite and very informative. And she not only taught me better ways to do some of the research on my own, but also gave me a full list of all the insurances, the cost comparison, and the coverages to compare all of them. And so that was great. Extremely beneficial, and I ended up changing insurances. I ended up having the same coverage for less, and it saved me tons of money. So definitely take a look at that resource as well. And at one point, I also reached out for just a financial counselor, just to help me with some of the ins and outs of things that I was still missing, not particularly listed in the baby steps, but things that you still need to worry about, such as a will. If you're over the age of 18, or if you have any assets at all, you definitely want to write a will. You want to have that in place just in case. You don't want the court or the state to decide where your assets are going to go. You want to be able to make those decisions, or you want to be able to at least put it in the hands of your family in order to make some of those decisions. And so put a will in place, please, if you're over the age of 18, but especially if you're older in life, you definitely want to have something like that. Consider it a gift to your family. If you're older, consider it a gift to your family, that they won't have to make some of these tough decisions on your behalf. Your final gift to them. It's uncomfortable to talk about at times, but it's extremely important. I've personally had experiences where extended family members, older people, had passed away, and it left the rest of the members in a very uncomfortable situation, having to make some of these final decisions, and it was heartbreaking. It truly was, for us to have to be put in a position to do that, and it caused some conflict even, and you don't want that at the end of your life. The part of your legacy to be that there was some of this strife between the family members. You don't want to leave that to your family members. So go ahead, your final gift to them, do the will, go through that uncomfortable stage to quickly make that will and put that in place. But the really exciting part, the Smart Vestor Pro. So there's something on his website. It's called the Smart Vestor Pro. It's similar search engine where it actually gives you a local investor that can teach you, and the primary word here is teach. You want to find a financial advisor with the heart of a teacher. If you don't have that, if you in the first meeting, Dave describes it as you kind of feel scummy. You feel like they're trying to sell you something, like they're a salesman or something like that. You don't want to feel that way. So don't be afraid to walk away and say, we're just not a good fit for each other. Or if you've already hired them, don't feel afraid to go to your financial advisor and ask them questions. And if you don't feel like you're getting valuable input or valuable information, and it's more of a selling thing, or it's one of those things where they tell you just to trust them, You don't want that. You want the heart of a teacher. You want somebody that's going to teach you and walk you through, almost to a certain extent, teach you out of their own job. That's the best type of investor or financial advisor that you could ever have, is somebody that's going to teach you out of their own job. They're going to give you valuable information, but essentially they're going to get you up to a point where you're able to do it on your own. And sometimes people like an extra set of eyes on their finances at all times, especially if you have a career that is outside of the realm of finances or numbers or anything like that. You do want to be knowledgeable of where your money is going, but you don't necessarily have to have a pair of eyes on it the whole time. Your own eyes, you hire somebody else. So sometimes they have a long-lasting relationship with a financial advisor, and I'm all for that. But at the same time, you want somebody that's going to teach you and so that you know exactly where your money is going. And so it's so important. And then I did that. I walked through that process. Now, again, this was somebody with similar understanding of the Dave Ramsey principles and understanding of some of the goals that I had. And so they did two things. They helped me set up an account, a retirement account, a Roth IRA, which is one of the neatest retirement accounts that you can actually have. If you don't know more about it, I'll put a link in the description below about some of the information pertaining to a Roth IRA and some of the different retirement accounts that are out there. I'm still learning, but I'm certainly willing to share the information that I've already learned so far. And so they helped me set that account up. They also helped me set up an individual investment account, and that is simply to help me save up for baby step 6. Now, baby step 6 is to pay off your home early, but because I don't have a home, I'm essentially at that step where I'm trying to save up in order to cover a down payment, in order to get potentially get a mortgage and go ahead and get myself into a home. If you don't already have a home, and if you absolutely want to get a mortgage, it's the only step, and I've been listening to him for a long time, and it's true, it's the only set of advice that he doesn't follow himself, but he's okay with other people doing this particular advice, and that is to get a mortgage. He's done with debt. It hurt him, it burned him, and he's not willing to do it, not even for investments. He plays it the more conservative route, and all the real estate that he purchases is with cash and no liability connected to it or associated to it. It's owned by him. So that's something, that's a stage I'm still kind of contemplating. At this point, I'm saving up. I'm saying it's for 20%, to get 20% down, at least on a home. One of the biggest recommendations that he makes when buying real estate is to go ahead and you make the most money at the buy. You want to try to find a deal in which you're making a lot of money on the front end, where there's a whole bunch of principal to be made off of it, where there's a difference between how much you pay for it and the value of the home. That you want the value of the home to be well over what you're paying for it. And so that's what he recommends, and that's what essentially I'm going to be looking for, or start to look for. But I could do it one of two ways. I could go ahead and move forward on purchasing a home with the 20% down payment, or I could actually save up to buy a home, which for a lot of people seems unrealistic. For a lot of people, that, hey Tim, you're waiting too long, that you need a home, all right? You're 29 years old, you need to go ahead and get yourself a home. Stop renting, stop living with roommates. Honestly, that's a pretty convincing argument, and I'm pretty sure I'm most likely going to move forward and trying to buy a home and pay it off as soon as possible. As soon as I get that mortgage, I'm going to hate it and I'm going to pay it off as soon as possible. But that's essentially where I'm at, and so I'm saving for that down payment. And what Dave Ramsey and his team recommends is that you do a 15-year note, a 15-year fixed rate note for your mortgage. No more than that. The idea is that if you compare how much you're paying when you go through the 30-year term versus how much you pay when you go through the 15-year term, it's a huge difference. And I'll put a link in the description below on a quick calculation on how that plays out and the numbers behind that. It's ridiculous how much you're saving simply by going through the 15-year term. Now, this isn't a question of liability, and this isn't a question of opportunity cost. I know there's argument to be said that you don't want to do the 15-year, you want to do the 30-year because you're tying up less money, and the opportunity cost is too high. To me, I like the 15-year because just from a numbers game, I don't like to play the game of how much I can afford. I want to lean towards paying less to the bank. I want the bank to have as least amount of money as possible, and it just feels as if I'm doing that when I go through the 15-year term. And the bank's taking enough money from me, I want to go ahead and give them the least amount of money as possible. And so that's why I go forward with the 15-year, and that's why I agree with Dave Ramsey on this particular advice. And so how much have I saved up? That's a good question. You may be thinking to yourself, Tim, you talk about being transparent, you talk about being real with us. How much money have you actually saved? And after thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And if you've been listening to me for some time now, you've started to realize that a lot of the conversations that I have on this channel is transparent, and I'm very vulnerable, and I talk about some of the struggles that I've experienced. And I think that's probably why a lot of you are watching, and probably what intrigues y'all about this channel, that I am trying to be transparent, and I am trying to be vulnerable and share this information that I feel as if I want y'all to be able to learn from my mistakes and learn from some of the good things that I've done as well, and this being one of them. So after thinking about it, you know what? Let's do this. All right, the people have spoken, and I'm going to go ahead and listen. Let's take a closer look at exactly where I am in my finances. So here's my bedroom, right? So not much to get excited about. It's a bachelor pad after all. I mean, come on, what am I going to have? I got, let's see. Unmatched socks. Hate it when that happens. Got to keep them there just in case, or whenever the thief that comes and steals just one of my socks comes back and returns the other ones, I got to keep those there, and so I can make the match. Got tons of coins. Dave Ramsey. I got my envelopes here. Doing the envelope system, you pay cash for most things so that you're avoiding overspending with the card. It's just so easy to spend with the card that I do the cash system, and I have a whole bunch of change, and it's a nice perk because after a few months you have a little bonus here. You have a little extra change that turns into some cash. You can throw that into your bank account. Got some food here. Apple hasn't been eaten though. It's not like it's half eaten or anything. It hasn't even been touched. But you better believe those Skittles are finished. Those babies are empty. That needs to be thrown away. Got my mask. Some movies and books, really. Bible, gotta have the Bible on the nightstand there. Reading daily, got some devotionals. Water, gotta have my water. Believe me, this candy, I know it got a sweet tooth, but this candy was for a fundraiser. I promise. I may sneak a couple here and there, but for the most part, it was fundraiser. Okay, so don't judge me. Here's what I came for. All right, so here we got a kind of a thermometer, if you will, something that my church did a long time ago, and I thought it was the neatest thing. They were saving up for like to buy a new church, buy a new property, and they had a thermometer, and I went ahead and kind of made my own here, ready to buy a home, right? Let's see, and I set some goals for myself. And now whenever I put a little extra money in that individual savings account or that investment account that I was talking about before, I'll mark it off. I'll continue to mark off a little bit of extra money. It's not like a daily thing or even a weekly thing. It's every few weeks, months that I go ahead and mark it off because of the increments I got here, thousands of dollars. It's taken forever, you know, that sort of thing. But I do like it. It's a good way to kind of. Obviously, I have my fancy tracking system through the app and my investment account, but this one it's more visual, and I think it's a great way, a great technique in order to really keep track of it and kind of encourage yourself. You know, so something to kind of encourage you by and keep your eye on the prize and set goals for yourself and everything like that. So I actually made this. I actually made this at my parents' apartment. And of course, my baby sisters are living with my parents and staying with them and stuff. And so, of course, they got a hold of it at some point. I can't remember when, but we have Celeste, one of my baby sisters here, the older one. She says, pay for Celeste's college, maybe half. How how smart of her. My goodness. Yeah, like I said, she's the older one, and so she's a little more ambitious, and she realizes, okay, well, college is going to be expensive, so let me get my goal on here. So apparently, I'm pretty close to not only her goal, but reaching out to a realtor. I kind of set that goal for myself, that this extra $10,000 or so. There's still a lot that I still need to learn, but I figured that the 30 I could use as a down payment, the 10,000 I would be saving up, and eventually I know there's tons of expenses associated to buying a home, especially furniture. I mean, just all types of stuff that you'll need to spend in order to get the home, presentable, I guess you could say. My mom, she wouldn't be cool with me just throwing a mattress in one of the rooms and then we'd be good to go. Maybe a big screen TV in the living room. No, it's gonna have to look nice. So, so yeah, I figured 30,000 for the down payment, and the last 10 fix up the home and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'm still learning, still a little bit nervous about the idea of not having a FICO score or a credit score, because I've paid off my debt and everything like that. It's been over 6 months. Technically, it's not that it's a zero credit score or FICO score. I just have a feeling, or some of the research that I've done and some of the things that Dave has talked about, is that you wouldn't necessarily have a score. It would be indeterminable or something like that. And so I'm not quite sure. It's something I still need to do a little digging. I need to pull that report. Regardless, I know I'm heading in the right direction with saving this money, and I'm really excited about getting pretty close to those goals and reaching out to my financial advisor to get some advice from them as well, and kind of see. And I'll continue to keep you guys up to date on the status of all of this, and let y'all know if I run into any milestones, or run into any pitfalls or anything like that. So please stay tuned. I'd love to keep y'all updated. Here's another one from my other baby sister, the younger one. She went ahead and she's still ambitious. $1,000 gets Sarah a gaming computer. See, she's pretty smart. Apparently that's the thing that's in right now, gaming computers being all cool on the gaming systems. And I guess with all COVID and everything like that, everybody's kind of starting to play a little bit more on the games. I'm sure it was popular before. I'm not much of a gamer, but she is in the family. She's the gamer, and she's really smart, very creative. She's awesome. And then she has Ann's setup on there. Check that out, boy. She went all the way. She's like, not just a gaming computer. She's realistic. She realizes you need the whole setup. If you need all the gear. You need it. You need to step it up, Timmy. You got to be able to supply for all the setup as well. So anyway, I thought that was cute. I thought that was cool. A little example of where I'm at in my journey. Definitely stay tuned. I will continue to inform you guys. So yeah, I hope you appreciated this transparency. I hope you stay tuned, continue to watch, subscribe, and like this video. If you liked it, go ahead and like it, and click on the notification bell as well. That'll keep you informed and let you know when a new video has been posted. And so God bless you guys. I hope you have a blessed day. I really appreciate y'all watching, and I'll talk to you later.